Well, that fight couldn't have been any more far removed than my hopes and expectations for it. So Moses Itauma blasted Dillian Whyte in, a single round. And, well, I didn't give a prediction of sorts. I did say that this was possible. I kind of tried to play a less narrative-driven preview and offered more of a scenario for both fighters. And, man, yeah, it was not a good night for Dillian Whyte. So in terms of the fight itself, there isn't actually that much to discuss. It was pretty much right out of the blocks for Itauma. He started so fast, he was coming forward, he was throwing combinations, and every time Dillian Whyte was throwing, it was single shots, and there was more venom behind Moses Itauma's punches, and yeah, he got the knockdown, and as Whyte came back to his feet, he was stumbling and he called off, and naturally, as most fighters do, when fights get called off, they, yeah, what's that word? They protest, that's it. They protest against the decision, but yeah, there was enough time in the round, even if the referee had let it continue, for Itauma to go and finish the job. But yeah, it was a spectacular performance, and probably what many people predicted, but me, I was just kind of hopeful for a really good clash, but yeah, it didn't happen. So what's next? Well, for Dillian Whyte, it might be time to hang up the gloves, because if you look at it, I did mention this before, that I just don't know where he goes, and if you look at the heavyweight landscape, there are at least 3-4 guys who are in better positions than him. Itauma, obviously just beat him. You've got Usyk, who's the current champion, Joseph Parker, Adric Caballel, Filip Hrgovic. I mean, there's probably other names you can throw out there as well that are just in much better positions than he is. And he's made enough money. He's been involved in some good fights. He had a good rivalry going with Anthony Joshua. He's obviously fought at Wembley against Tyson Fury. I know obviously these fights haven't ended in victories for him, but he's been a part of them. Money I don't think will probably be an issue. I don't know how much he made last night. I'm going to assume a hefty sum. I haven't really looked into it, but it may be time to stop. And I don't think you shouldn't really have any regrets, to be honest, because you have had success in your career. Obviously not climbed to probably where you wanted to go to, but if he's looking to continue boxing, it's just going to be very hard to try and build yourself back again. But the big question is, what's next for this young man? Now, I stand by what I have said. This is not the fight to make. I still think there is just a huge disparity, not just in skill set and IQ, but experience. And yes, experience is so key here, because Usyk, looking at the challenges he's overcome in the heavyweight division, I understand that Itauma is fantastic and he's still growing, and there's still so much of him that is raw because he can get better and hone his skills more, but there are, as they say, levels to this, and this is not the fight they should do. They should keep on waiting, keep on building, and I understand there's only so much more building Itauma can do before he gets there, but I do think there's a few other fights, which I'll propose in just a second, that he could take just now. But Turki Al Sheikh is really, really pushing for this fight. Now, I can understand from his perspective, because it's like the champion, the one who's on the way out in Usyk, against the young upcoming, a firecracker, for almost, you could say, just the person who's on a complete destruction mission at the moment in Moses Itauma. So I get all the narratives and the storytelling. It's fantastic, and it would probably do a hell of a lot of money, and they could probably put it in a stadium. It would do so well. And also as well, because Usyk has said that he's got one fight left, I think they want to try and make this as his last fight. But yeah, there are other options for Moses Itauma. Now, the obvious one is Joseph Parker. Now, I know what I was saying, how they could keep building Itauma up and eventually they would hit a brick wall, because let's just project forward for a minute. If Itauma were able to beat Joseph Parker, then the only fight there is against Usyk. And at that point, yes, I would push for it, despite everything I've said about that matchup, because then it's like there's only that fight to do. But I think this would be an interesting fight. I don't think Joseph Parker needs to take it. I do think he should just go straight against Usyk, and I know just now Usyk's asked for an extension because of an injury, so there is still that going on. So that's still to play out. But a fight against Joseph Parker would be a fantastic watch, I think. It'd be really entertaining, and I think Joseph Parker could pose real problems for Itauma and potentially be the one to really first test him. This one also occurred to me. What about Daniel Dubois versus Moses Itauma? I think that this could be such a great fight, honestly. Both guys, heavy hitters. Both guys clearly have got skills. I understand Daniel Dubois got more experience, as I keep using, but both still very young, both in their 20s. Obviously, Itauma's like not even entered his peak, but matchup wise and skill wise, and the way these guys fight, I think it'd be a fantastic fight, and one that you could do. If you could make Usyk v Parker, the co-main should be this. That would be fantastic to see, and again, that I think this would do great numbers, and they could hold it somewhere in Britain at Wembley or something like that. Again, this is another stadium fight. And just another one, and we'll call this the last one, but Adric Cabell would be an interesting fight as well. Cabell, another fighter in amazing form, moving so quickly. He's now entered title contention and discussion. Him and Joseph Parker are similar positions. I would still put Parker ahead in terms of who deserves a shot, but this could be another fight you could make. I mean, that idea proposed earlier about a co-main event and a Joseph Parker and Usyk card, for example, that they could make that. Stylistically, I would love to see it. Both guys big, strong, offer so much. Yeah, good matchups. Really good matchups exist there for Moses Itauma, but the sky is the limit for this young man, and he is fantastic, and I really do give him his flowers, despite saying that there are levels to it when it comes to fighting someone like Alexander Usyk. But yeah, Moses Itauma is the real deal.